Hi, Verbling. My name is Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about used to and would and some other actions, repeated actions in the past. So, Carvalho. Is that your first name? That sounds like a last name.
Yes, teacher, it's my first time with you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Is Carvalho your first or your last name?
It's my last name,
What's your first name?
Almi.
Almi. Okay. Nice to meet you, Almi.
Nice to meet you too, teacher.
Where are you from in Brazil?
I live in Rio de Janeiro.
Very cool. It must be very hot there right now.
Yes, very hot. We are facing a drought season.
Yeah?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Uh-oh. That's the opposite of me right now. We had some rain, and it's pretty cold. Not too cold, but pretty cold. So, today we're talking about used to and would.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to share the document, and it's also attached to the class. And things are taking a second to load today. Okay, there you go. And Oscar, welcome to class. Oscar, are you there? Oscar, your sound
Okay.
is... Oh, there we go. Hey, Oscar, welcome to class.
Thanks.
Where are you from, Oscar?
I'm from Colombia.
Cool, good to have you with us today.
Yes.
And we have a couple returning students. Marius, welcome to class.
Hello again.
Good to have you back, Marius. And Aldona, you too. Good to have you back.
Hello, teacher. Hello, class.
Hello, hello. Okay, so today we're talking about used to and would. So let's jump right in and get started. I want to know what you guys already know about used to and would. Let's start with Aldona. Can you tell me about those two expressions and how you sometimes hear them used?
Well, both expression refers to the past actions that took sometimes in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can. For sure. Okay, so today we're going to learn some ways we can use them and then other ways that we can't use them. And of course, would is used in a lot of different expressions. You guys already know, I'm sure. It's used in conditionals and questions, and it's also used to talk about repeated actions in the past. So one more thing you guys have to remember, I guess. But let's get started. I'm going to ask Oscar to read the first section that I'm highlighting for us.
Okay. Used to and would. First, both used to and would can be used to describe repeat action in the past. They are virtually interchangeable. They are often used in writing or speaking to talk about the past. For example, when I was young, I used to go fishing. I used to have a cat. My grandfather would always smoke his pipe after dinner. People would get very angry when the tax collector came to town. In those days, people would run water from the village well. When I was a child, I would wake up to the sound of birds singing.
Excellent, thank you. So pretty standard. You guys have probably heard a lot about that before. Now let's read number 2. How about Virginia? Welcome to class.
Thanks so much, teacher.
Good to have you here with us, Virginia. Would you mind reading number 2, this highlighted section for us?
Okay. Neither used to nor would can be used to refer to single actions in the past. For example, it would not be possible to use either form in this sentence. In 1992, I moved from London to Leeds.
Thanks. And number 3. Let's have Marius read that one for us.
Okay. Used to can also be used to describe past states, which with verbs such as be, have, and live. For example, I used to live in France. I used to have a beard. This building used to be a hotel. Would cannot normally be used in such sentences unless the state is repeated and qualified by an adverb such as often, for example.
Thanks. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what are some states and what are not. I'm going to ask everyone to give me 2 verbs that are usually stative verbs. And the verbs we have as the examples here are to live, to have. Those are verbs that are stative, meaning that there's no real action. It just is, right? Like if I have a pencil, I'm not necessarily moving at all, but it is mine. So no real action is taking place, even though it's true. So let's talk about some more verbs that work like that. Aldona, can you give us a couple more stative verbs?
With used to?
No, it doesn't have to be with used to, just stative verbs in general.
Oh, okay. For example, maybe do something.
Do usually is active because you might do something like do the dishes. That would require me to move and get up and move around and do something, right? So that's usually an active verb. Verbs that are states are things like have and live because like I live in Phoenix, but it doesn't necessarily mean I have to actually I don't have to jump around. I just live in Phoenix. It's a fact that doesn't require any action.
Okay.
Got
one? Like love,
Yes.
hate, for example.
Yes. Perfect examples. Love and hate. So they don't really, you don't do anything, right? Hate just is. It just exists. It's a stative verb. Thank you very much, Aldona. And is it Almi? Is that what it is?
Yes, teacher, I'm here.
All right, great. Can you give us a couple more stative verbs?
Okay. Teacher, I'm thinking about that.
Okay, I'll give you a couple minutes to think. Marius, can you give me a couple more stative verbs?
I don't know, eat or wear or...
So eat usually requires an action, right? You have to chew, you have to swallow. Wear, that kind requires an action because in order to wear it, you have to put it on. But keep thinking. Oscar, do you have any examples for us?
I used to to have long hair in school?
Okay, so that's using to have. Again, that's a stative verb. Can you think of any other stative verbs?
Yeah. Hmm. I I I used to be in a park when
Okay, to
I
be.
child.
To be is a very good stative verb. I am tall. I am American. These are not things that I have to perform. I don't have to do anything. They just are true. Excellent. Thanks, Oscar. And
Okay.
Virginia, can you think of any stative verbs?
Teacher, sorry, I don't understand you.
So right now we're talking about verbs that do not require an action in order to be true. And these are verbs that we almost never use in the gerund form. It's a good list of verbs to know because we don't use them in the gerund form and we don't use them with would. So to be is a good one. I am American. I don't perform any action. It's just true, right? I can sit here or I can run or I can jump and I can go across the world, but it's always going to be true that I'm American. I don't have to perform that. I have a pencil. I don't have to do anything. It just exists there.
Hmm.
So think of another verb like that.
In sentence.
No, it could be just a simple verb.
Hmm.
How about think and remember?
Dance. Dance.
Dance is more of an action because it requires you to move. Think can frequently be a stative verb because it sometimes means something close to believe, right? And a belief is a state for sure. So I believe in heaven or I believe in ghosts doesn't require an action. So that's a good stative verb, and think can often have the same meaning. Although some verbs obviously can be stative at times and active at other times. So it depends for that one. I'll give you guys a couple more examples. Do you have any others you guys want to put on this list? All right. Some other ones that you might use are prefer or need, remember, theme, know,
Taste.
taste, feel, deserve. These are a lot of examples of stative verbs, and if you guys want more examples, I'm going to put a link for you in the chat box. So this isn't necessarily the focus of our class today, but it's good to know for sure. Oh, actually, Louise just put a link in the chat box. Thank you, Louise. Very helpful. All right, any other questions on stative verbs? Because it's important for this lesson because we don't usually use stative verbs with would. So do we have any other questions on stative verbs? All right, then we're going to move on to rule number 4. And I'm going to save this because I always mess up the numbers. Actually, before we go on, I want you guys to come up with your own example. So, for this one, it says, for example, I want you guys to write a sentence with a stative verb that you can't use used to, or sorry, you cannot use would. So everyone try one in the chat box. Write a sentence where it's possible to use used to, but it's not possible to use would. And if you have questions while you're writing, definitely let me know. All right, I used to hate getting up early. Perfect. Using that stative verb, hate. I used to believe in God. Excellent. Believe is a stative verb, so we can't say I would believe in God. And part of the reason that we cannot use would is because it almost sounds like it's going to be conditional or something. So if you do use would where it's not appropriate, it sounds really awkward and kind of confusing. All right, keep writing your examples, guys, and we'll read them in the chat box. And we've just got one more word here, one more rule here, before we do a little multiple choice with this whole used to and would thing. So while you guys write, I'm going to ask, oh, I got one more sentence. I used to attend Michaela's English class on Verbling. Yeah, you did, Luis. And then we all got so busy. And I used to sleep late. All right, so this one's kind of an interesting one. Although sleep usually does require some kind of action, here it's... No, this one's an active verb. So it's possible to say I used to sleep late, or I would sleep late. Even though it's kind of, it would be kind of funny. All right. If we have any other sentences still waiting, you can get those in. But if not, let's have Aldona read rule number 4.
Okay. Used to cannot be used to refer to specific restricted periods in the past. For example, in September 1991, I used to live in Paris. The sentence is incorrect, and the past simple should be used. Perhaps the best practical advice to the questioner is that used to is generally correct when referring to repeated actions in the past and to past states, whereas would is sometimes inappropriate.
Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to do a little multiple choice, and we've got one more sentence in the chat box I'll read. I used to work at night. So the sentence is wonderful the way it is, although that's not a stative verb. Work is an active verb. So it's also possible to say, I would work late at night, or at night. Both are possible there. We're going to do a little multiple choice to help us get familiar and comfortable with these rules. So number 1, let's start with Almich. Can you read that one and fill in the blank with either used to or would or neither or both? You have to tell us if it's neither, both, or one or the other.
Teacher,
Yeah.
when we refer to a verb which refers to an action, we can use both?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember how your Uncle David would sit in that chair and smoke those disgusting cigars?
Yes, excellent. So for this one, can we also use used to?
Yes, because sit refers to an action.
Exactly. The action of sitting. So we can use both in this one. Thank you very much. Number 2, let's have Marius read for us.
Yes, your mother used to have a Yorkshire Terrier when she was a young girl, didn't she?
Mm-hmm. So you said used to have, right?
Yes.
And is would also possible here?
No.
Why not?
Have is an active verb.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Well, no, sorry. What you did it correctly, but have is not an active verb, which is why would cannot be used.
yes.
I was just trying to get you to explain exactly why you used to and not would. Because you're right, used to works and would doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 3, Oscar.
For years, they would go on holiday to Rockies, but it became very fashionably and hence expensive.
Mm-hmm. So explain to me, can we use both here or not?
Yeah.
Is used to possible and would is possible, or just one?
It's possible.
Why?
Because it's not the sentences in doesn't have a time, time past time.
Mm-hmm.
The verb is a movie go.
Uh-huh. So are you saying that both are possible? We can say they used to go and they would go?
They used to go.
Yeah, both are possible here. Because we've got an active verb. Thank you, Oscar.
Thanks.
Virginia, number 4.
Years ago, I would write a diary every day, but then I got bored with doing it and I stopped. Maybe it was my life that was boring.
All right. So this one's kind of an interesting one. And if we deleted the time phrase years ago, then both are possible. So we could say, I used to write a diary every day, or I would write a diary every day. Both are possible. But the whole years ago makes it kind of strange, actually, to use those. Because it's a period that ended. It's like a defined period. So it's kind of like rule number 2, where we can't really use either because it's a specific period and it's over. So it sounds a little funny to use them.
In this case, years ago I used it too.
Neither works very well here. So for number 4, the best way to write it would just be in the simple past. Years ago, I wrote a diary every day, but then I got bored.
Teacher, sorry, just a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. So for this one, it's best not to use either of the used to or the would because of this time expression years ago. Any questions? Let's do number 5. And it's for Aldona.
Okay, at the start of their marriage, they used to be very happy, but then it all went wrong. Be
All
the
right.
stative verb, so why I used to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Well done. We cannot use would because it's stative. Number 6, Almi.
You use it spell so well, whatever happened.
Mm-hmm. Can we use would here or not?
I think so, because spell is an action.
It is. This one's kind of an interesting one because spell is an action, but would does not really work, and it's kind of because we're not talking about any specific word, we're talking about the ability to spell. So even though it seems like it would be active, it's not. Because we're not saying like to spell that word or anything. It's the general ability to spell, which it's like a yes or no, on or off thing. You do it well or you don't do it well. So it's kind of considered stative here. So would does not work for number 6. But of course used to does. All right. Number 7. And it's Oscar's turn.
And when I was 5, I used to be able to do incredible gymnastic. Now I can't even touch my toes.
Awesome. And is would a possibility here?
Uh, um, but the period is specific. When I was 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's not possible to use would and used to.
Okay. I guess that would be fine. So you say neither are possible. When I was 5, I was able to do incredible gymnastics.
Okay, neither.
I think it's possible. I think all of them are possible here. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Not would. Would is not possible here. But when I was 5 could be kind of like a time thing. So it might be better to keep it in the simple past. And I think saying I was able to do incredible gymnastics would be perfect.
Mm,
All right. Number 8, Virginia. Virginia, are you there? Virginia, you're muted. Okay, she might be busy, I guess. So, Oscar, the link to this is on the class page. So if you go back to the page where you started class, you should be able to see a blue link. Underneath it says class materials. Do you see it?
yes.
Awesome. That's where you can find this, or of course you can follow along with me. Okay, so now we have kind of a fun exercise. I want you guys to create 5 sentences telling me about your childhood or your past using used to and would in each sentence, but make at least one of the sentences incorrect. So what we're going to do is you guys are going to each create 5 sentences, and then I'm going to have another student correct your sentences. So make like 2 incorrect and 3 correct, or 3 incorrect and 2 correct. However you want to do it, you're just going to make a couple mistakes, and then another student is going to correct those mistakes. So try to make them sneaky and tricky. And if you guys have any questions while you're writing, let me know.
Teacher,
Yeah.
do I have to write it in the chat box?
Exactly. You're going to write 5 sentences in the chat box and try to put them all together so that they don't get separated.
Okay.
So 5 sentences about your past or your childhood.
Okay.
All right. I'm ready with my sentences. I'm going to put my sentences in the chat boxes for you. You can already start to look. I hid a couple mistakes in there so you guys can look for them. And hopefully you guys will have some ready soon. So whenever you guys are ready with your sentences, put them in the chat box for us to look at. Awesome. Looks like Aldona's ready. Her sentences are, I used to have a dog. It would always belong to me. I didn't used to share it with others. I used to play with it a lot. I would treat it as a friend. So, Virginia, can you make any corrections to Aldona's sentences? Virginia, are you there? All right. How about Oscar? Will you correct Aldona's sentences? They're in the Google chat box. If you guys need, I can move them over to the Verbling chat box too.
The first sentence is good. Is used to the verb have.
Mm-hmm.
The second is true. I will always belong to me. The third is I didn't used to share it with others. This is true. For the four is it's possible to use I will play with it a lot.
Yeah, both of them are possible here.
And the five is good. I will treat it as a friend.
So do you see any mistakes in her sentences?
I can see mistakes.
Aldona is very tricky. Almich, do you see any mistakes in her sentences?
In Aldona's sentences?
Yeah, do you see any mistakes there? She hid a mistake very cleverly.
Okay. Teacher, belong.
What about it?
Is it correct to use would?
Aha, you found the mistake. So belong is a stative verb, meaning we cannot use it with would. Excellent.
Okay.
All right. So let's go on to Luis's. Luis's sentences, I'll read them for us. When I was a child, I would look at the blue sky and I would imagine lots of animals shaped on clouds. And he has, today I'm used to walking up early. Okay, a few mistakes here actually. And not all of them have to do with what we're talking about today. Aldona, would you like to make any corrections to Luis's sentences?
Starting with when I was a child, yes?
So that should have a W in it, typo there.
When I was a child, look, it's not a stative verb.
So look is an active.
It's okay. I would look, it's okay. The blue sky. And I would imagine it also active verb. So
Exactly.
So would is okay here. Would imagine a lot of animals shaped on the clouds. It's okay.
So everything is okay?
Shaped referring to wood and wood, yes.
Yeah, everything with would and used to is okay, but there is a mistake there with the preposition.
On the blue sky.
No, it's the preposition at the very end, on clouds.
Shaped of clouds.
We have a couple ways we could fix this. We can say lots of animals in the shape of clouds. So we could say in the shape of clouds.
How about shaped out of?
Or
out of clouds?
Shaped into clouds.
Oh, into.
Maybe. So there's we can fix it, but the way that it is, it's a little funny. Doesn't really work. So we need to change that preposition. And then Louise put in one more sentence. Today I'm used to walking up early. Aldona, any corrections to make in that one?
Today I'm used to waking up early. But it was to be referring to the past, and it's I am used to walking up early. Used not in the past form. I'm used to.
Yeah, this one's actually funny, and it's something that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. We have like an exception, and that is that used to sometimes means a different thing. When we combine it with the verb to be, it means something different. So we haven't gotten there yet, but he used it in that way. And then I would also say, I think he meant to say waking up early, not walking up early. I think, anyways. He would have to let us know if I'm right about that or not. And next one, we've got Almir's words. When I was younger, I used to play football with my friends. My brothers would beat me if I did something wrong. I would ride my bike as much as possible. I would to have a cat. Today, I used to wake up early. Let's have Oscar. Can you correct anything in those sentences? Oscar, are you there?
Yes.
All right, good.
Excuse me, can you repeat the question?
So, Oscar, can you see any mistakes made in Carvalho's sentences? You said, when I was younger, I used to play football with my friends. My brothers would beat me if I did something wrong. I would ride my bike as much as possible. I would to have a cat. Today, I used to wake up early. Can you make any corrections to his sentences, Oscar?
No.
Virginia, are you back? No?
Yes, teacher, yes.
Okay. So,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem. Do you have any corrections that you could make to Carvalho's sentences? His name is Almir, but in the chat box it says Carvalho.
It is correct.
All of them? How about Aldona? Do you see any corrections that you would make to those sentences?
When I was younger, I would play football with my friends, because play is the active verb. I would.
It is. So there we have the possibility of both. If it's an active verb, we have the possibility to use used to or would, and both are correct.
Okay, so let's. My brothers beat me. It's okay. The second is okay. If I did something wrong, I would ride my bike. The next is okay, as much as possible. I used to have a cat. Have is a stative verb.
Excellent. So we need to change that for sure, because would cannot be used with have. And what about the last sentence? Today, I used to wake up early.
Today, I am used to.
Yeah, we're missing that verb to be. So it should be today, I am used to waking up early. But we're going to go over that in a second because that's another exception to all the rules that we just learned. All right.
Teacher,
Yeah.
when it's not one repeated action, is it wrong, right?
Yeah, if it's not a repeated action in the past.
Yes, I think number 5 is not one a repeated action.
Well, that's true because it's also not in the past, right? He says today. So that's something that's current. And it's part of the exception. So in a second, we're going to go over that. This here, I am used to, is something a little different. And it's the one used in number 5. So we'll go over that in just a minute. But before we get there, I want you guys to correct my sentences too because I wrote a few sentences. And you can see them in the chat box. I'll put them in both chat boxes if you guys need them. And I'll also read them out to you. And you guys have to find any mistakes made. I said, my sister used to make fun of me. I would feel sad when she did that. We would play together. We would always have fun while we played in the street. I never used to eat mushrooms. So did I make any mistakes here?
Mm-hmm.
What mistake?
No, number 2.
Yes. The second
Number
sentence.
2.
I used to feel sad when she did that.
Uh-huh, definitely, because it's a stative verb.
And the fourth. I used to always have fun while we played in the street.
Okay, so that one I did on purpose to trick you guys. And it is actually a correct sentence. And you're going to go, what? No, that's a stative verb. But if you look, here, there's a little exception. So would cannot normally be used in such sentences unless the state is repeated and qualified with an adverb. So if you look at my sentence there, number 4, we would always have fun while we played in the street. Always is an adverb, and it is a repeated action. So it's something that we did on and off, not something that was a state like we always were constantly doing it, but we would play and then we would not play and then we would play and then we would not play. So number 4 is actually correct, even though it's a stative verb, because I used the adverb. Any questions on that?
No.
Maybe we need a little more practice with that one. So why don't we all try making a sentence using would with a stative verb and an adverb. So I'll give you guys one more example, and then you guys have to create your own examples and put them in the chat box as well. It's going to be something like, I would frequently feel sick around the holidays. So, even though feel is a stative verb, I've got my adverb frequently, and it's something that happened sometimes but not others. So it's not constant. It's on the holidays, yes, and then all the other days, no. And I'd like everyone to make a similar example. So use would plus a stative verb and an adverb. Now, one example of a way that you cannot use this, you can't say I would frequently have a dog, Jimmy. You cannot say that because that's not a situation where it's not like, you know, one day I had him, the next day I didn't, 3 days from then I did. It was like I had a dog, and then I didn't have a dog. It was very constant. So that's an example of a time when it doesn't work. You cannot add the adverb and make it a correct sentence. Only for things that are on and off. So let's get some other examples of that. How about Virginia? Can you make an example of would plus an adverb to make plus a stative verb as well? Would plus stative verb plus adverb?
Teacher, I prefer only to listen you.
Okay.
Because yes, because I have a problem with this.
Okay. No problem.
I need to study. I need to study more
No problem.
about this. Okay,
Oscar. Yeah, sure thing. Oscar, can you give us a sentence?
I'm listening.
Okay. Sounds good. Oscar, can you give us a sentence using would plus a stative verb and an adverb?
I will currently.
Did you say currently?
No, excuse me. I will always have a
Party?
We'd
always have a party?
Go to the party.
Okay, so we can't use go because go is an active verb. So not for this exercise.
Yes.
I mean, it's possible because it's correct, but for this exercise, we're using stative. So I would always have a party on my birthday. That would be a perfect example of using always, an adverb, plus a stative verb like have to talk about a repeated action.
Okay, and the sentence should be I will always party in my birthday.
I would always have a party on my birthday. And I'll put it in the chat box for you.
Teacher.
Yeah.
Please. Can you to send me this text to me?
Of course. We already have access to the text.
To study.
Yeah. So everyone can access this text already, and I'm going to show you how. If my screen share works. Sorry, that was my wasting time face. Okay. If you look at the class page, so where you guys entered class, it says the title and it says rejoin class. Underneath, there's this blue link for class materials. Anytime you come into class, check the class materials. This blue link will lead you to the notes.
Okay. I don't see this link because I only stay in Hangout.
Yes.
Yes, I sorry. I didn't see.
No problem. Sometimes it's easy to miss.
This class is my first time.
Welcome.
Yes.
I'm glad
Thank
we
you.
were your first.
I lost a little bit.
That's okay. Start slow, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Aldona, do you have an example sentence for us with the would and a stative verb plus an adverb?
Okay, I have, but I don't know if it's okay. I would always live in a big city.
Mm, so, no, that's weird. Well, okay. All right. I think if you change that to often, it would work. Like, maybe if you said, I would often live in a big city, you might say something like, I moved 20 times when I was younger because my father was in the army. And I would
Oh, yes.
often live in a big city, but not always. That would mean like you did, and then you didn't, and then you did, and then you didn't. So that would work.
Understand now.
All right. Thank you,
Teacher,
Aldona. Question?
teacher, if possible, I will always dance in my birthday birthday.
I would always dance in my birthday party? Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine, because dance is an active verb. So that's good.
Okay.
All right. Any other example sentences of this before we wrap up class today? No. Okay. Any
Teacher.
other questions? Yeah?
I would rarely feel myself sad, for example.
So that's a good sentence in some ways, but not in all ways. So see myself sad doesn't make very much sense in English because you don't like look at yourself unless you have a mirror. You might say, I would rarely see my brother sad because you see him.
I mean feel myself.
Okay, I would rarely feel sad.
Yes, I
That's
would
good.
rarely feel myself sad. Okay.
But know myself, it's not reflexive. So I would rarely feel sad.
Okay, teacher. Thanks.
And it's very similar to Antonio's sentence in the chat box. He has, I would rarely feel under the weather. And that's kind of the same thing. So it's really good, and it just means that he wasn't sick very frequently. And one more, Michaela used to use loose hair. Huh? Oh, like wear loose hair. Right? I imagine. So use is kind of a funny one, but wear works really well. Michaela used to wear loose hair. Or it might make a little more sense to say Michaela used to wear her hair loose. So it's just more common to say it that way, although both really work. It's just more common to say she wears her hair loose. Or she wears her hair up. So right now, I'm wearing my hair up. But I used to wear my hair loose. All right, thanks, Luis, and everyone else for all your participation. It was a ton of fun. Talk to you guys another time. Any other questions?
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys too. All right, goodbye. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.